Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Setting expectations, that's what we will talk about in today's video, and I believe it's really important, especially with the words of Maurizio Scanavino yesterday to Sky Sport. Why do I believe that setting expectation is important, and why do I believe that this is probably the biggest mistake that Juventus management did in the last few years? Nobody was able to admit that the winning cycle was over. Admitting, yes, probably in your heart, but never publicly in front of the supporters. The winning cycle in terms of Scudetti stopped in the year of Andrea Pirlo. The winning cycle in terms of winning trophies stopped with the first comeback year of Massimiliano Allegri. I believe that nobody went in front of microphones saying, ragazzi, we have new expectations. That doesn't mean that you can't overachieve expectation, that you can't dream about doing more than the expectations, but setting new expectations are the fundamental to be realistic. Not negative, not positive, but realistic. If today Juventus fans are sad, are frustrated, are angry, it's because we were still dreaming of being competitive in Champions League. We're still dreaming of competing against Napoli for the Scudetto in Serie A, in winning the Scudetto after Inter did it, after Milan did it, for the third year trying to win the Scudetto, and at the end it didn't happen. We were all dreaming about all these kind of things, and I am the first one probably that did a mistake in thinking that Juventus could win the Scudetto. Our expectations were wrong. But why? Because they were never explained to us what were the new ones. And today you will like it, or you will dislike it, and probably you will dislike it. The words of Scanavino are really important because they are setting new expectations. Before starting with the words of Maurizio Scanavino, and that's really what I want to do in this video, let me read something that I wrote. Usually I go and I speak out of my mind. Today I wrote something because I wanted to be really clear. Well, these last days, they made me really think about Juventus and Juventinità, about club identity, and about fan loyalty, about nostalgia, the past, but also looking forward, about unconditional trust and conditional trust, about conditional love and unconditional love. What gave me the most joy since I started as a content creator was when I was reading messages from Juventini telling me, Beppe, I became a Juventino also thanks to you. I became a Juventino thanks to you. I became a Juventino even more thanks to you. These were the messages in the last 3 years that made me the real most proud about. What hurted me the most, what made me the most suffer was when I was reading some Juventini that gave up on Juve. They gave up after Ronaldo, they gave up after Dybala, they give up now, they are giving up now after the confirmation of Max Allegri, because yes, he has been reconfirmed. This all brings me back to some memories and to my favorite quote. Juventus is bigger than any player. Juventus is bigger than any coach. Juventus is bigger than any president or management. This is how, me, personally, Beppe, I live Juventus. I don't back up or defend every single decision. Not every single decision that Juventus is taking is the right one. But I also don't jump immediately in criticizing every decision that we are taking, every move that we are doing. I try to understand what Juventus is doing it, and especially why Juventus is taking some decision. Sometimes because they are doing it, because sometimes they are obliged to do it. And then I try to explain it here on the channel. After I try to give myself an explanation, I try to be here in front of the camera, speaking to you, explaining you the possible positive consequences of a certain choice, but also the possible negative consequences of a possible choice. But I always try to be consequent in this. No matter how many times I receive some criticism, I know it, and we know it, because you don't always agree with me, and this is absolutely correct. Ultimately, I saw a lot of protest online. I will unfollow Juventus on social media. I will not watch any Juve game anymore. I will not go to the stadium anymore. I will not buy the new Juve shirt anymore. I will stop my subscription to pay TV to watch the games of Juve. I will not spend any money or any time on Juventus anymore as long as Max Allegri is in charge. Well, ragazzi, I don't agree with that, and you know that, and I will never agree with that. But I don't judge you. Everyone is free to do whatever they want, whatever they think is the best for themselves. I feel and I totally understand your pain. which is the same that I have when Juventus is not winning, when we are not performing, when I don't see the light anymore. Now, try to close your eye for a second, listening to me. Imagine you were a Real Madrid fan and you left the stadium before the triple whistle against City last year. Imagine you were a Liverpool supporter and you shut down the television at halftime against Milan in the Champions League final. Imagine you gave up on Juve in 2015-2016 when we lost against Sassuolo, having 12 points in 30 points available. Imagine if you decided to take a sabbatical year after finishing twice 7th in 2011. Well, you would have probably missed some of the craziest, against all odds, comebacks of football. I don't know if Juventus will win in 23-24. I don't know if we will play well in 23-24. But for sure, and that's something that I can promise you, I don't want to miss any single minute of the rebuild of Juventus. I don't want to spend one single moment of regretting that I was not there for the possible comeback of Juventus. Juventus is bigger than any player. Juventus is bigger than any coach. Juventus is bigger than any president or management. And that's why I will continue to be consequent in loving, but also criticizing, explaining, but more than all, in supporting Juventus, my beloved Juventus. And this even if yesterday they took an unpopular choice, because yesterday it was really clear Maurizio Scanavino in front of microphones took an unpopular choice in confirming Max Allegri. What did he say yesterday? Well, I have underlined and marked the important parts, really important parts of Maurizio Scanavino. The first thing he said was, Allegri has never been in doubt. Is it a political talk, yes or no? We will never know. It looks like, if you are looking and hearing all the rumors that have been said the last few days, Allegri probably was at doubt. Probably they made a plan to, can we stop with Max Allegri or do we continue with Max Allegri? Is it only financial? Is it a perspective of football? Do we have to thank Allegri because he was the one that was able to keep the ship on the sea? We will never know. One thing is sure, that yesterday he said he was never in doubt. We continue with Max Allegri and we all have the same vision. We had a lot of talks with Max Allegri and some of them were even constructive talk. They were also auto-criticism, so admitting also that Max Allegri admitted how many mistakes he did. But he said one thing, we have one clear vision for the future, for the mercato, for the future plans, and we all aligned. This is something that I wanted to hear. It's not that I wanted to hear Max Allegri will stay or will not stay, but I really wanted to hear one thing, being aligned and also admitting that things were not as good as they were said, that we made mistakes. This is the first step to go forward. But he continued, because that's not the most important thing. The confirmation of Max Allegri that a lot of you are not happy about, this is not the biggest information that I will give you today. He said, in the dark period of the field topics, we did well in terms of management, because at the end we found a deal. We are still in Serie A. We closed everything. This is the first priority work that we had to do, and we closed everything in Italy. But also on the field, after a disaster start and after a collapse at the end of the season, in that middle part we fought, and at the end in Serie A we finished third on the field. What I appreciated was that he said, comprendiamo il malumore dei tifosi. We understand the feeling of the supporters, the anger, the sadness, the frustration of the supporters. Guys, they heard you. They know what you are feeling. They are not ignoring you. They saw all the hashtags Allegri out. They saw that some supporters lost passion, and passion is a fundamental in football. They heard about it, and I can guarantee you that from the moment that Juventus as a club is knowing, is aware that their tifosi are not feeling well, they will try to rebuild. They will try to put you again at the center of a project. Will that mean that every single request you have will be taken in your favor? No, but they will at least try to do something to make you happy again. But now we arrive at the most important thing, clarity about expectations. Because at the question on Sky Sport about futuro, future, Maurizio Scanavino said, bisogna avere I piedi per terra. We must have our feet on the ground. And that's really important because he said, ci sono ancora aspetti da risolvere e alcuni componenti economiche finanziarie non facili da gestire. There are still some problems that we have to solve, that we have to work on, especially economical, financial things that are absolutely not easy to deal with. We are admitting that we don't have 100, 200, 300, 400, 1 billion euro to spend on the market. We can't rebuild a la Chelsea, for example, and this is a clear message to all the supporters of Juventus. Don't expect a crazy mercato. Don't expect even a name as Pep Guardiola, as Nagelsmann, probably not even as Antonio Conte. Trainers, coaches that are costing a fortune. Between the 7, the 10, the 15 million euro, if not more. But also about players, about mercato, it's clear. Then he continued, we must have the maximum of being humble. We need to put our maximum efforts. And we need also to be autocritical, and that's important. Probably something that the ex-management not always was able to have, being autocritical on the mistakes that we did. And we will try to bring back Juventus in better results on the field, but also expressing a better game. And this is one of the fundamentals why a lot of supporters, tifosi, are not happy today. Because one thing is winning, the other one is what we are expressing on the field. Here, in an official communiqué, in an official interview, he's saying to all of them, we know that we are not expressing a beautiful football and we want to do it better. Then you will, of course, argue, is it possible with Max Allegri or not? The management at the moment, today, is saying we can, we want to, we have to. And this is also a big message to Max Allegri. But attenzione, because he's repeating, what about the future of Juve? Big efforts, big work as a team, important, a team. But we have to become better and also being humble, having and keeping our feet on the ground. Ragazzi, he said it twice in an interview, keeping the feet on the ground. He said publicly that we have and that we must have new expectations as supporters. That doesn't mean that he's saying we will be a mid-table team, we are not the big Juve anymore, but at least we put expectations. The same exact new expectation that Andrea Agnelli has put in 2011-2012 in front of a full stadium in inauguration of the stadium. We are the people of Juve and we will go again to try to win. But the plan was 3 years to be able to be competitive again in Serie A and winning Serie A, 5 years to be competitive again in Europe. Conte overachieved. With the tools, the minimal tools that he had, he overachieved because we won after one attempt in Serie A. Can we do it? Again, I am not promising you, but at least we have expectations. You will hear names on the market for Juventus. You will hear Italian names like Fratesi, Scamacca, Mazzocchi. These are not Haaland, Mbappé, and Neymar. We have new expectations. How long will it take? I don't know, but at least it's clear. Next year, we support, or I will support Juventus from here, my deepest of my heart. I will support Juventus with Max Allegri, with Scanavino, with Calvo, with Giovanni Manna, and also without them, who is leaving, I will still support Juventus. But one thing is sure, I will be here believing that we can come back. And I will not miss the opportunity to be here when we will be here, when we will come back. Grazie, it was a long video, slow paced video. I hope you enjoyed. Grazie, forza, Juve.